Hey there, I hope you're doing good. This is 1189 where we're doing 1189 chapters in 1189 days. I'll just clear my throat a bit. I don't think I'm probably ready for this one. Right now I'm ready. Alright, no, my voice is still a bit weird, but yeah, I'm gonna have to deal with that. Maybe it's because I'm not sat well. Okay, now I'm good. Guess that's good. Alright, let's get into chapter 10 of Genesis.
Chapter 10. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, and Madai and Javan, and Tubal and Meshech and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer,
Right, there we have it, people. We have Gomer. Sorry, that's not an important person. We have Meshech, Tubal, and Magog. Now those are mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 38. I'll just read it out for you real quick. Ezekiel 38 verse 1 to maybe verse 4. Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog, the land of Magog. So Gog was like a prince. He was, it goes on to say, the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal. Remember those from the scripture we just read, Genesis 10? Magog, Meshech, and Tubal. He is the prince of Rosh. So Rosh is amongst those countries as well. And prophesy against him and say, Thus says the Lord God, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal. So he's the prince of actually all those places. I'll turn you around, put hooks into your jaws, and lead you out with all your army, horses, and horsemen, all splendidly clothed, a great company with bucklers, and all that. So now, there's this idea that all these countries, okay, except Meshech and Tubal, because Meshech and Tubal are kind of south of Rosh and Magog. So there's an idea that Magog and Rosh are Russia. It does kind of rhyme, because Rosh does rhyme with Rosh. Rosh. We can even just search the etymological structure. Do you know what etymological means? It just means the root of something, the root of a word. So etymology of Russia. Yes, the name Russia is derived from Rus, a medieval state populated mostly by East Slavs, Slavok. I think those are Slovakian, Slovakia. I don't know. So, however, this proper name became more prominent in the latter history, and the country typically was called by its inhabitants Ruskaja Zemlja, cool, which can be translated as Russia land or land of Rus. So that's Russia. Rosh is the Hebrew letter that means the head. You have Rosh Hashanah. That's the beginning of their year in these current times. It wasn't always the beginning of the year. The beginning of the year is supposed to be Nisan, but they don't really want that to be the beginning of it's Nisan because that's the month they came out of Egypt. On the 17th day of the month of the first month. There are no names in the Bible. They also put their own names to their months, which are not in their Bible. And I'm like, come on guys, where are we getting that from? Is that inspired? Is it inspired? Okay, moving on. Yeah, so we're done with Meshech, Tubal, and Magog. Also, just to mention Magog and just to mention what Russia is going to have to do with the end times. Here we see in Ezekiel 38, we have... Okay, maybe I should wait for Ezekiel, but I'll just sprinkle a few the theories and revelations here and there. So now, Meshech, Tubal, and so were defeated, and Israel is restored, and all the rest. And then from there we see the rebuilding of the city. The city is rebuilded and the temple, from Ezekiel 40 to the end of it, which should be 52. No, 48. The 48 chapters in Ezekiel. So now before the Meshech and Tubal and all that, we have the dry bones coming alive, the rebuilding of the nation of Israel, which is so interesting. That was done in 1948, people. That happened. So now the next thing to happen is Meshach and Tubal coming and attacking Israel, and then them getting defeated by, let's see, in chapter 39 of Ezekiel it says, and you, son of man, prophesy against Gog and say, thus says the Lord God, behold, I'm against you, and I will turn you around and lead you on, bringing you up from the far north, and bring you against the masters of Israel. Then I will knock the bow off. Okay, let's just skip all those. I want to see who defeats him. Okay, it is the Lord who defeats him, but I want to see in specific who is the person. 11. It will come to pass in that day that I will give Gog a burial place there in Israel. Right, going on. Okay, so it doesn't mention specifically who, but yeah, we could see he is defeated. Russia is defeated in the end. Assemble yourselves, shall eat the flesh, Israel restored. Okay, yeah, there we have it. So now that will be the end of days when Israel turns to the Lord their God. And it says in verse 29 of chapter 39, and I will not hide my face from them anymore, for I shall have poured out my spirit on the house of Israel. Boom. And there we have the rebuilding of the temple, both of the natural temple and the spiritual. Yep, there we have it, people. And then, of course, with the rebuilding of the temple comes the beast who will stand in the midst of the temple, the abomination of desolation that stands in the holy place. Now, that's for another time. That's for Daniel and Revelation. So just moving back to 37, then 36 is on blessings of Israel, renewal of Israel. Then 35 is judgment on Mount Seir, which is Edom, the nation surrounding Israel, irresponsible shepherds of Israel. Yeah, we will get to Ezekiel later on. It's going to be interesting. I love these prophets. They have secrets in them, you know what I'm saying? Secrets of the future, of the past, and everything. So yeah, let's move on.
Ashkenaz and Riphath and Togarmah and the sons of Javan, Elisha and Tarshish, Kittim and Dodanim.
Hold on, Togarmah. I remember that being mentioned in 38. Togarmah, 38, verse 6. Gomer and all its Gomer as well. Look at that. Gomer and all its troops, the house of Togarmah, from the far north and with all its troops, many people are with you. So these are all the nations that are above there. Right then, let's move on.
These were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families in their nations. And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim, and Phut and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba and Havilah, and Sabta and Reumah and Sabteka. And the sons of Reumah, Sheba and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before the Lord.
Now, Nimrod was the youngest son of Cush, so he kind of had the, blessing. Okay, no, the favor, not the blessing. The blessing goes to the first son. Now, the favor came to him. Maybe Cush trained him more than the others. That's a possibility. Yeah, so with Nimrod, he's kind of like a antitype of the Christ, like an antichrist, like a type of the antichrist, because he set we'll go into see in Genesis 11, he built a city against God. He wants to elevate himself above God to the heavens. Right then, so we'll see this in Genesis 11. It's really interesting. The first elevated one was the young person. So it's usually the people that are created last that come up in most pride. well, not usually. You see with Lucifer, he was created before man, but he elevated himself because yeah, we don't really know, but yeah, let's move on.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Everic and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Asher and builded Nineveh and the city Rehoboth and Calah, and Resen between Nineveh and Calah. The same is a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim and Anamim and Lehabim and Naphtahim and Pathrusim and Cashlehim, out of whom came Philistim and Caphtorim. And Canaan begat Sidon his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite. And afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom, and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. These are the sons of Ham after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Asher, and Arphak.
Notice, so Shem is introduced as a brother of Japheth, and Eber is introduced as his son. So all these chronologies are meant to show the lineage of Jesus. Just simple as that, because Eber goes on to produce Shelah produced Peleg, Peleg, and so on, Abraham, David, Jesus. Then, yeah, that's the use of all these chronologies. You're going to see that in First Chronicles and all those other chronologies in Mark and Matthew. Yeah, we'll see that. Moving on.
Sad and Lud and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz and Hul and Gether and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name.
All right, now Shelah. I'll just have a quick cross-checking right here. Shelah should be Selah, which means so like Methuselah, his death shall bring. I'll just pull up Shelah, meaning, bear with me for a second, meaning of Shelah, something that breaks the ties, something. I'll just go to the main website I use. So now, here it says that it means prayer, and then or prosperity or booty, or sent out. It just means a couple of things. You know what? We're gonna go with a meaning that that kind of just integrates with all the different meanings of the chronology of Jesus. So like we looked at in Genesis 5 the meaning of the names in where in Jesus's chronology. Yeah, we're gonna look at that in Genesis 10. I'm just googling it right now. Genesis 10, right then. So now we have the images up here. So we looked at from what, Adam to Noah, I believe, last. So now let's look at from Noah to who? Don't want to go too far, otherwise it's gonna mess up everything. From Noah. Okay, this might take a while because there are plenty of chronology right here. Tell you what, you can just Google it. Okay, here we are. So from Shem to, let's just go down to Terah. From Shem means the fame. The name or the fame, what goes forth from a person. Arphaxad means Babylon's fortress. Canaan means sorrow. Shelah means extend like a plant. Let's go back there to that website, and yeah, it means to sprout, according to this other website that we were looking at before. To sprout, to be sent out, to branch, or javelin, just to go forth from somewhere. Could also mean a prayer also. All right, that's the second Shelah. So now, Eber means beyond the place of. Peleg means division, as we'll see later on. Reu means friend. Sarug means branches out. Nahor means enraged. Terah means with fury. So it says, the fame of Babylon's fortress and sorrow extend like a plant beyond the place of division. A friend branches out enraged with fury. It's all going to make sense in the end as we come to Jesus' birth. It's going to be an amazing tapestry that God has been building from the beginning. Right then, shall we get back? Yes, we shall.
The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan.
So in his days was the earth divided. Now that can mean one of two things. Okay, or both things. We never know. Okay, it's most likely both things, because the one thing it could mean is that the earth was, everyone went their different ways. So like Eber came in the same time as around about the same time as Nimrod. So in Eber's time, he must have experienced the division that we're going to see in Genesis 11, right? So it's he probably named his son Peleg because everyone dispersed because they didn't understand each other. So and also Eber means, as you saw there, Eber, or is it Eber? Kind of lost it. Eber, where are you, bro? Okay, here. No, that's not him. Eber, where you at? Oh gosh. Okay, here it is. Beyond the place of. It means Eber, most likely where they got the name Hebrew, because Eber went with his family to wherever. He's most likely a person that moved because he was the father. He was the father of his children at the time that Nimrod was building the tower. So now when God divided the place, Eber moved with his family, and thus naming his child Peleg, division. So whoever they moved with, they were named after. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So now you'd imagine that I'll just go to Genesis, back to Genesis 10. Genesis 10, so I can read it for you. So I can imagine that for the children of Japheth, for example, they were named after the children, right? So Tubal, Meshach, Magog, Gomer, the places were named after the children because they were the ones that were separated at the time of Nimrod. Is that cool with you? That's cool with me. It's honestly cool with me. But you can search that out, check it for yourself, see if it's true. If it's not, email me some hateful words. I'm joking. Don't be hateful, right? Don't be hateful. Yes, so where was I? So Peleg could mean either division of the languages, which is the simplest thing to understand, but it says the earth was divided. So the primary meaning would have to be the earth, the ground was divided, the earth was breaking, I believe the scientists call it, what's it, you know that before the earth was divided, I'll just Google that, before the earth was divided, right there, it should be scientists give it, Pangea, there we go, Pangea, I'll just Google that real quick, Pangea. So Pangea or Pangea, that's the same word. Oh, there's just another A before the. Alright, was a supercontinent that existed during the late Paleozoic and early Mesozoic eras. It assembled from Earth earlier continental units approximately 335 million years ago and began to break apart about 175 million years ago. So if that says that, then maybe this is mainly. No. It can't be that because then the rivers, the Euphrates, the Tigris, the what else? Ganges, and the Nile, which we heard from Josephus was that the river there. I think it was I've forgotten the name. Okay, the rivers in Genesis 1, right? In Genesis 2, sorry. There were the four rivers that came from the Eden, from God of Eden, were broken up into four. Am I right? Yeah, so 4 rivers came from one. So now those rivers have to be together. Am I right? They have to come from the same place. So Euphrates and Tigris, as you see in the map, will come from the same place. But the Nile and Ganges do not. And they're not coming from the same place as Euphrates and Tigris. I explained in Genesis 2 that I believe the Nile came from. There's a blue Nile and the white Nile. The one that's coming from Ethiopia, I believe that's the real source of the Nile. I believe the Nile that we see, the one that's coming from Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, is joined from the Lake Tanganyika, the lake in Malawi, from the Indian Ocean, right? So it goes up. So I believe the original place that was coming from is Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is close to, it's closer to the Euphrates and the Tigris and the Ganges. So those would have to come together. So it makes sense that the world separated, thus making the rivers separate again. Therefore, not again. Right? There we have it then. Cool. How did I even get here? Right, okay, Peleg. Alright, moving on.
And Joktan begat Almodad, and Sheleph, and Hazarmaveth, and Jerah, and Hadoram, and Uzal, and Diklah, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan, and their dwelling was from Mesha, as thou goest unto Sephir, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood.
All right, there we have it, people. By these was the nation divided after the flood. By these people. So the nations were named after these people, right? So there we have, people. That has been Genesis chapter 10. We have seen the world divided, the tongues divided, and the earth. I just said the world. All right. I was trying to have a nice ending there. Just spoiled it for myself. Just killed it for myself. I'll see you tomorrow.